We were in Florida on the beach. We decided to buy a drink, and some tourists got in front of us. They were arguing so loudly about everything, the lines, the heat, the fact that everything was so expensive, the crowds. They were rude to the cashier, arguing with him about the price of a hot dog. As soon as they left the stall, a seagull flew at the man and snatched the hot dog right out of his hands. His wife dropped hers in surprise. It seemed like nothing special, but it was so funny to watch it. 5 years have passed, but I still remember it. The girls at school have a habit of kissing the mirror with painted lips. The cleaning lady wipes off the lipstick every night, and the next day it happens again. So the director gathered the girls in the toilet, called the cleaning lady, and asked her to show them how difficult it is to wipe the mirror. And the cleaner takes a rag, dips it in the toilet, and wipes the mirror. In short, no one kissed the mirror anymore. We were leaving a bar with friends. A guy and a drunk girl were walking in front of us. We walked into a dark street, and the girl stopped abruptly near a wall and roared, staring at her feet. "Let's take him home! Anna, let's take the kitten home! Anna, why are you being so cruel? Anna, it's Brick!" When I was a kid, I revived a dog with CPR. I was so inspired by it that I'm now a doctor, a resuscitator. I save people's lives. I work double shifts. I know it's my calling. Only recently, my mom admitted that the dog was just sleeping. I started having conflicts with my teenage daughter. I don't give her enough money and control her all the time, and she would rather live with her dad. After all, Daddy is always a holiday, walks, shopping, pizzerias. One of the scandals broke out in front of my ex-husband, and my daughter went to him. "Daddy, take me away from her." The ex decided to play the good daddy and really took her away. Except that the daughter's dreams of a carefree life ended very quickly. The ex's new wife turned out to be a real pedantic bore. The husband is at work all day, told the daughter to obey the stepmother, and the stepmother makes her daughter get up an hour earlier than usual, do sports, cooks porridge on water, no sausages and sausages, only pee-pee. She takes her to school half an hour before the bell and picks her up exactly after the bell. No idle loitering with girlfriends on the streets or shopping malls. Makes me clean. Sit with my little brother. No gadgets after bedtime. Daughter howled after 2 weeks. Complained to her father, but he cut her off. In our house, we live by Natasha's rules. We stopped going out for pizza and ice cream. Just family outings. My daughter came to me and whined about how bad she felt. I told her, "This school year, you'll live at your dad's, and then we'll see." Eventually, she asked to go back, promised to behave perfectly. I took her back. And it's true, there are fewer scandals, fewer requests too. She's studying better, she keeps order, she helps me. I used to have a negative attitude to Natasha, but now I think she's doing a good job. She still calls us from time to time and asks if everything is normal, if no one wants to go to live with Daddy again. After her calls, my daughter is even more obedient and sweet. One day before class, I ran to the store to buy a couple of apples. I chose almost identical ones. Color, size, everything matched. I asked the kids in class, "What's the difference between these apples?" They don't say anything because they really can't tell the difference. Then I take one apple and say to it, "You disgust me. You're a terrible apple." And I throw it on the floor. The kids are shocked. I pass the apple to a student. find something bad in it and throw it too. He does it. And it goes round and round. The kids quickly got into it. You, what a tale! The peel is disgusting. You're wormy. And tossed the apple around. When the fruit came back to me, I asked again about the difference from the intact apple. The kids are confused. Outwardly, it's almost the same. I cut them both open. The intact one is snow white inside. Everyone wants to eat it. And the second one, all in brown bruises. No one wants to try it. I said, guys, we disfigured it ourselves. There's silence in the class. After a minute, I continue. It's the same thing that happens to people when we hurt them. You can't see it on the outside, but inside you are left with wounds. The children had never been reached so quickly. Everyone began to share how hurt they were by the name calling. They cried, they laughed. After class, they hugged each other. How great it was that my efforts were not wasted. I was traveling by train from work in the evening. It was cold and raining heavily. I had a monthly pass and a one-trip pass with me. There was a foreign passenger on the train who didn't speak English and didn't have a ticket. The conductor asked him to get off at the next station. I felt sorry for the guy, so I gave my one-trip pass for him. The conductor asked me later why I did it. I replied that being in that situation was no fun, and who knows, maybe someday I'll be in that situation too, and someone will help me. A few months later, I was driving home from work again, and it was only on the train that I realized I had left my bag there. The conductor started to usher me off. Suddenly, a man came up and paid for my ticket. I thanked him, and he said, "No problem. Maybe someday someone will help me." Those words gave me goosebumps, because those were the exact words I had spoken a few months earlier. At that moment, I realized that everything you do, good or bad, comes back to you. When I was in college, I had a roommate, a guy from an incredibly wealthy family. I remember him having a hard time adjusting to the fact that no one here was catering to him. One morning, I woke up, went to the kitchen, and saw him trying to eat the scrambled eggs and toast he had just made himself. He asked me how I usually fry my eggs, since what came out of his was too crispy. Turns out he cracked the eggs and cooked with the shells together. I couldn't help but laugh. I came to my older sister's house for a visit and felt the meat baking. I think that she decided to prepare a meal for me. I was really hungry. So she takes out of the oven a huge duck leg with baked potatoes and vegetables, cools it down, and gives it all to the cat. To the cat! I'm sitting there in shock, and she says to me, "Pizza's coming." I was on my way home from a cafe after midnight. I decided to walk straight through the park. I heard men's voices and realized that they were clearly not athletes walking towards me. And then I accelerate sharply. I fly into a group of gopniks with wild eyes and yell, "Run! It's chasing me!" Judging by the sounds, some of the men rushed through the bushes. 2 of them followed me and almost immediately overtook me. I started squealing afterwards. It was real. The runners went to another yard, and I went to mine. I made it home safe and sound. I was out with my boyfriend. It was late. He went to walk me home. We decided to take a shortcut. It's dark. A few street lights shining, that's all. We bump into a bunch of guys. And it started. "Oh, what a pussy." "Boy, introduce us to the girl." Anyway, they're starting to bully. And then my beau raises his hands and says, "Guys, I've got it all figured out. I don't want any trouble. I'm out of here. Turns around and walks away. Without me. I'm standing there with a sagging jaw and the guys with their faces stretched out. We're looking at each other. I'm already thinking about how to get away. Suddenly the guy in charge says, "Your boyfriend sucks. Come on, let's get you home." And they actually did walk me home. They were all right. As soon as I stopped worrying about the future, forcing myself to do something, comparing myself with others, and filling my head with motivational thoughts about striving for success and self-realization, somehow the endless fatigue went away, and I had more free time. I remembered my childhood hobbies and started practicing when I wanted to, and only because I liked it. And I realized that you just have to be yourself, and to hell with stupid social norms and attitudes. You don't have to compare yourself to anyone. No one can tell you how to live better than yourself. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new episodes. Share your stories and impressions in the comments, and maybe your story will become a masterpiece in one of our upcoming videos. Let's dive into the world of slimes and stories together.